Well, hi and welcome to our Facebook Live today. My name's Jenny McCormack. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator and I'm based in the UK. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. If you are joining us live, please do pop on and say hi so that I know that you're there and I can acknowledge you. Obviously, if you're watching on catch up or on YouTube, you can add any comments or questions and I'll get back to you in due course. I do check the posts and things on a regular basis, so do feel free to comment if you have any questions or suggestions or feedback. So this week we've been working on a touch of ink, as you can see, whoops, here. I've had to put the lights on this morning as it's really dull outside, and although hi Jeanette and Pauline, I do prefer to do it in natural light. Sometimes it would just be a little bit too dark today, so I hope you'll forgive me if there's any shadows. So we've been working on this set all week. And all week, I say, we're only on Wednesday, aren't we? Morning, Carol. So these were the cards that I created on Monday with the hummingbird. I did that one live, and then afterwards I did this one here with the melon mambo flowers to match up, I should say. And then hello Monica. And then this was yesterday's card. So this card is actually being sent out to somebody today. One lucky winner that was with us live yesterday. I'm not going to tell you who that is, so it'll be a nice surprise for someone. Hopefully they'll post that they received it. Yesterday's live stopped before I'd finished. So I do apologise for that. I was hoping it was going to come back, but it never did. But the majority of the card was finished. So hopefully, I think all I did was just mounted it up after the live had finished. So this is a stamp set. It's a free stamp set that you can get between now and the end of February. In our celebration catalogue, and in order to get this free, all you need to do is place an order of £90, and then you can select this as one of the options. So there's a whole series of different stamp sets and papers and everything that you can choose from, and this is one of those items. So today I'm going to be using this butterfly image. And morning Carol G. I had in mind an idea, and I have no idea if this is actually going to work, but what I wanted to do, and I have seen somebody do something similar, but I wanted to have a little twist on that, so is to stamp the butterfly on a piece of white card and then re-stamp that a couple of times and cut those out and layer them up. So I've got a 3D butterfly. But what I want to do is use the infill butterfly, so stamping a colour and doing different colours, one each for the layers. Now, oh no, Jeanette, it wasn't your Wi-Fi. It just literally stopped and it kept trying to reconnect and it gave up in the end. So it wasn't. So yes, to do different layers. Now, it may or may not work. I did think I could do this on vellum. That might be a good way to do it. But I'm going to try with white card first. You could also try it with coloured card. And it does mean fussy cutting, which, as you know, is not something I do on a regular basis. So I'm going to give it a go. So I was thinking the colours for the butterfly I'm going to match with the papers that I use. So I just drew out these two papers from Flowers for Every Season. and you can decide which of those colours you prefer. So, and this one, it's got bumblebee, cinnamon cider, obviously misty moonlight, and I should have checked what that colour is of the leaf, but I'm not going to do a green, I'm going to do those layers. The alternative one is this one with the pinks, and I just happened to pick this circle out of my box of spare die cuts, so that wasn't selected specifically, it's only just because that's what I had. I did have some other ones here, but they don't go with my papers. So this one here has got Magenta Madness, Poppy Parade and Bumblebee. Just Jade, thank you, that was it. You stars, love it. So yes, Just Jade, and the same with this one. So I'm just wondering, first of all, which of those two patterns you like best for my background, and that will decide what colours I will do. So be thinking about that. So if we just say sunflowers, or I know that, well, there are some roses, so sunflowers or roses. While you're deliberating on that, I'm going to stamp my butterfly on the bottom layer with, of course, early espresso. Let me move this out of the way. So I've got some offcuts of paper here. So sunflowers or roses is your choice. Let me know what you think. And I'm just going to pop this on here. Morning, Scylla. So I've got one for roses, one for sunflowers. Okay. And I'm going to stamp these three roses, one sunflower. I could fit that in there, yes. Oh, three roses, two sunflowers. Oh dear. Right, let's do one more. There we go. So I've got those ready. Let's have a look and see. 1, 2, 3 sunflowers. 1, 2, 3 roses. That's not good, is it? It's an even Stevens, and I like both of them. So I'm hoping one more person will add a comment in, and that will be the deciding factor. Okay, so I want to ink this one up with whatever colours we choose. Oh dear, I need to throw a dice or something, don't I? Eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Let's go for this one. Oh. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, you see, I like both of those. Oh. I would probably use... Well, I like both of those. I'd probably use... Well, you see, I would use both of those. Oh, that's so frustrating. Okay, sunflowers. Sorry. I might do another one with those colours. So I've got bumblebee and cinnamon cider. So let's try those. Of course, yes, of course it's just jade, because they're all in colours, aren't they, in this pack? Now, this whole idea may of course not work at all, but we'll give it a go. So let's move this one out of the way. That's just going to be my backing. So my plan is to colour these up. So like the other designs of colouring in for this, with the stamp, it's a larger outline than the actual image, which I think works in our favour. Thank you, Carol. Appreciate your what's the word? Your positivity. Right, I'm going to stamp this one off. And I'm actually going to use my mat for this. So I'm going to do the base layer. Yeah, I'm going to do the base layer first. Voila. So there's one, that's my base. And I need my chamois, which has disappeared from view. Oh, that's because I had to tidy up. Bear with me, ladies. Sorry. Apologies for that. I keep my chamois in the cloakroom. Okay, so I'm going to wipe this off, just dry it, and then pick out bumblebee next. So I'll say this might be better with some vellum, so that you could see all the colours, but let's go with this to start with. So while I'm doing the colouring, how is everybody? This extremely wet day. What weather have you got, Carol, G and Monica? You're the sort of furthest away from me. Let's try a blue one. So I'm going to use this one so that I've got plenty of room to cut around it. So this is Misty Moonlight. And do I want one more colour? Let's have a jade. Then I've got the most to play with. There we go. Oh, bless you. So Monica's got hot and humid weather, threatening to rain. Bless her. Carol, like us, is very, very windy and wet. Forecast better for tomorrow. Excellent. And, oh, well done, Lynn. Moved in to look after her dad, who's just come out of hospital, but she's working from home, so she's had to take all of her bits and pieces and move her home office to her dad's. Bless you, Lynn. Oh, I realise you can't hear us if the volume's off. Okay, so when I'm stamping off, I'm not worrying about the patches that are occurring, because it just gives a nice effect to the finished butterflies. Okay. Hi Deborah, how are you? Thanks for joining us. Oh, and hi Tracy. Okay, so those are my 4 colours. So for those that have just joined, my plan is to use this as my backing and a butterfly there, and then layer up these other colours for the wings on top. So let us see. So as you know, I'm not an avid fussy cutter. I don't mind doing a little bit, that's fine. So what I'm doing is cutting the butterfly, but leaving the very edge behind so that it will sit in that space. So I don't really want any white edges showing. As I say, this is quite good because the outline of the stamped image is outside of the outline, if that makes any sense. So let's have a look. There we go. Oh, bless you. So Deborah's half asleep in the States. Thank you. And Monica's from Australia. Queensland, is that right? Yes, Queensland. Thank you. So an alternative to this would be to stamp onto coloured card as well. That would be another alternative. Now I'm thinking I'm going to leave the body on for the minute, because I want to have something to sort of anchor down. I might cut the bodies off, sorry butterfly. There we go. So there's one. I may not use all of the layers. Oh, Deborah's got snow. Oh my goodness. I presume we have a lot of snow by the looks of the photographs I've seen from everybody else. Hi Lane. Yeah, so we've got Monica ahead from Australia, and then we've got Deborah behind in the States. Don't take it personally. So let's see. As I said, it formulated in my mind last night. I didn't have time to try it out, so we'll give it a go. As I say, vellum could be an alternative. I didn't want to try the vellum here because it takes a time to dry, so I could heat set it with a heat gun but I can try that offline. And obviously you could colour these in with blends pens as well. So I'm thinking the yellow on the top anyway, whatever I do. So I'm cutting his body off. Oh, icy snow, that's lethal. Funny enough, I posted on my timeline this morning two photos from 8 years ago when my children were somewhat smaller on this same day. And one had my son Will holding a huge icicle which had formed hanging down from a house or the garage, I'm not quite sure. And then the other was of my daughter Jo, keeping warm, lying on her horse underneath, between the horse and the blanket. So she was lovely and warm. They'll probably kill me for posting those again. But that's what we can do when we're mums, is post photos of our younger family. Excuse me, I'm really hoarse today. Okay, so I'm thinking of those three colours in that order, which sort of mimics the flowers. So I've got Bumblebee, Just Jade, Misty Moonlight, and then I've got this one on the bottom. So let us see. So I'm going to do a little bit of softening, like so. Just by using my bone folder against the weight of the card. Oh, and I'm pleased to report that the new Whisper White cards and envelopes are now in stock in the UK, which is good because I'm on my very last pack. Not Whisper White, Basic White, sorry girls. I'm on my very last pack of note cards and envelopes. Morning, Molly. So Molly's just ordered this set, she's just qualified, so she'll be pleased to see another example of this, hopefully. So my plan is to mount these one on top of the other and then onto there. Now, do I need the bodies on? Because I could just use a little bit of glue at the base. Sorry, I think my hands are probably in your way. Yeah, I think I'm going to take the bodies off. Just that part. After I so carefully cut round them. There we go. Okay, right, let's take this out of the way so I don't put any glue on it, and then let's mount this up here. I'm just going to colour in the base with a bit of crumb cake. Not that you'll see much of that. And I am going to use, actually there's not much white showing on the edges of these. Let's do that. I don't think it's too noticeable because the ink goes right to the edges, but I will do the others just for just because I can, really. It's Just Jade. So I'm just using the wider point. You could do this with a Stampin' Up marker if you hadn't got blends pens, just to take the edge off that white there. There we go. And let's do the Misty Moonlight one. This is actually navy, but just so you don't see the white edge. I think if you'd filled this in and the majority of the edging was white, then this would be more effective. But I do like the fact that this stamp for colouring in the image goes right the way over the edge. Okay, so I'm looking for my glue. So I decided it was going to be like that, I think, didn't I? So let's pop a little bit of glue on the back side of that. I could afford to put a little bit more on. Positioning that there. Like so. Now you could actually cut excuse me, cut these up and have these two wings, or these two wings, so it was like, you know, different layers of wings if you wanted to. That would be another option, so that you had, for example, you know, just part of that. But my theory was to have the different layers of butterfly to match the papers. Obviously you could just have different layers of butterfly regardless. Like so. And I'm just wondering whether to cut that down. Trying to work out which of these wings go together. No, I'm going to stick with my original plan. So if anybody wants to improvise on this and do some different combinations, I'd be really interested on seeing it. So you could use you could stamp these on patterned paper. Oh, excuse me, it's somebody at the door. Oh no, that's okay, they've left it. Oh, bear with me. Thank you. Sorry about that, they needed to see somebody was in. Okay, so what do we think? Has that worked? Let's have a look and see. Oh, I did that the wrong way round. Oh no! Nobody said. I wanted the yellow one on the top. Let me see if I can peel this off. Oh, that's blown that, isn't it? I think what I'm going to do is put that back on and add what am I like, girls? Hi Christine. Thank you for joining us. I want to do a yellow one on the top, so I'm going to stamp another one. So, morning Christine, what I the idea I had in my head was to do a multi-layered butterfly to match the colours of a piece of patterned paper. But I've just put this Just J down, and I really wanted Bumblebee on the top because that's the focus of this paper. So I'm just going to stamp an extra one. And fussy cut it out. That'll teach me when to... Let me just grab a scrap. Best laid plans. That'll teach me for talking, won't it? It's called being human. Yeah, it's called not concentrating. Right, let's do this last layer. There we go. Oh, Elaine likes the shade on top. Yeah, it's not. I don't know what it is, Christine. Maybe it is a cold coming. It's my just throat's really dry. That's all. Right. Let's wipe this off. Make sure I've got Bumblebee. Bring back my hat. So I'm stamping that off. This is really pretty, isn't it? I saw somebody do a flower with this. I'll show you how they did it in a second. So there's that. I'll just do it on the... I can do it on the paper here, just to show you what they did, which is really clever. So they basically... Everybody likes the green on top. They did, I think, certainly 2 and probably then 3 flowers like so, using the butterfly image to create flowers. Right, I am going to cut this up. Sorry girls. So just cutting inside of that line. Actually, I might make this one slightly smaller. So that you see more of the jade behind it. So you could certainly layer this up using the different elements of the wings if you wanted to. This body off. And I'm going to cut this round here as well. So there is a smaller layer. Let's add pen to the outside. Oh, challenge accepted. Oh, jolly good. Good, good, good. I was saying, Christine, that this would look lovely on vellum as well, because you'd get to see the colours through the vellum. But I decided to do it as card here, only because the vellum takes a bit longer, but I might do a vellum version. Okay. There we go. So there is a the best thing to use for vellum is actually blends pens, because they will dry quicker, and if you colour it from the back side, then you get an even softer look. So maybe I will try some vellum for you, Deborah. But yeah, allowing it to dry is pretty key. There we go. So it really is rather a multi-layered, more layers than I expected in my butterfly. Never mind. There we go. So we've got 5 layers in total. It's going to sit on there. And I have a Misty Moonlight circle somewhere. Here it is, to go behind. There we go. So I'm just going to cut that piece down and mount it onto a card. So I'm going to do this at nine and a half by 13.85. Then I'm going to add a Misty Moonlight layer behind it just to bring in that, and then that's going to go onto a white card. Let's grab that and a white card. There we go. I can, if you want, I can stamp one and colour it in now for you. It's not a problem at all. What am I doing? Cutting this into a card size first, and then cut this down 10 centimetres. By 14.35. So I basically got, oh, that wasn't very good, half a centimetre between each piece. So a couple of tips while I'm here is if you get a jagged edge from your blade, use an emery board, okay, just to take the edges off. And if that is happening, the chances are it may not be your blade itself, it might be the track here. So if you take a small piece of scrap card, and I like to use white so that I can see it, and then just run that bit of card all the way down here, and if you can see the little bits of dirt that have coming up from there, run it right the way down to the bottom. If I lift this up carefully, you might see, can you see that little bit of dirt on there? So before you go and replace a blade, just clear that out. You could also use a cocktail stick with a little bit of alcohol or something, but that should do the job. And if I just try and cut this piece now, There you go. Much better. So, and you could hear it. I could hear it when I was cutting earlier. I could hear it sort of grating. So more than likely it's little bits of paper fibres in here, not your blade. Okay, there's lots of bits coming out there at the bottom. So that's my top tip for today. Okay, so yes, it's more often the track than the blade. Just going to score this one. So I always recommend doing the track. I don't just change the blade. Certainly trying it anyway. Especially if you hear it sort of grating, then it's grating against something, as opposed to just being a blunt blade. Does that make sense? Here's one of the blender pens. Oh yes, after the piece of card, yes. Good plan. Let me just... There we go. That one, and my butterfly. So let's layer these up before we lose everything. Yes, Christine, it probably does. But no, I wouldn't recommend it. You can just, yeah, tap it as well, but it really needs a thorough running through. There we go. I love this paper. So I will grab a bit of vellum for Monica and show you that. There we are. And I'm just wondering about my sentiment. It's a bit tight really to put it on there, so let's just layer this up. Yeah, I don't think that's in the Stampin' Up manual. Trimmer tossing. Thanks, Carol. Lovely to see you. That's Carol G. I'm going to pop that on with dimensionals. Just going to see if that one of those small there's hope. No, it's just a bit too... I didn't think about that when I stamped it, though. Leaving a bit of space for the sentiment. Oops. There we go. Let's pop that on with dimensionals, and then I'll pop a sentiment on, and we're done. And if anybody wants to hold on, I'll just do a little bit on vellum to help Monica. Just going to pop 3 on there. There we go, keep my flower. Let's see how they've got it on there. There we go. So, extra layers that I wasn't envisaging, but I think it still works. Let me just see if I've got a small die for a sentiment. So when I'm die cutting, I always cut extras and then just pop them into a pot, which is what I'm rifling through now. Very true, Christine, very true. Oh, I tell you what. Okay, engage brain, Jenny. You know what I'm looking for, don't you? Is my tub of the many messages sentiments, because that's got a whole load of thin sentiments, and I'm sure I've got some in Night of Navy. It's not Misty Moonlight. Now, where have I put those safe, girls? Here they are. Ta-da! Perfect. That works quite nicely. I've got a friend who's just become a grandma, so that would work rather nicely. So happy to hear of your exciting news. I think it definitely needs long and thin to balance that out. Yes, itty bitty greetings would work too, but I think I'm going with that because that has a purpose, and that's even better, isn't it? And I don't need to stamp it out, so I'm going to pop that up with some dimensionals as well. And that's the card finished. Obviously I can stamp the butterfly and things inside, but in terms of the card that we're doing today, that is all done. And I'm just going to stamp on some vellum to show Monica, so if you don't need to see that, don't feel you have to be joining us for that. And I should of course add some Wink of Stella to my butterfly. Goes without saying, doesn't it? This is in Early Espresso, which is perfect because it matches the Early Espresso of my butterflies. So there we go, that is my finished card. Let's add a bit of Wink of Stella. Like so. And I'm focusing mainly on the alcohol pieces, not trying to get the Early Espresso itself too wet, because that can run. Oh, hi Brenda. Oh, bless you. It's my neighbour. It's her first grandchild, so it's always very exciting, isn't it? So let me just try a bit of vellum. To show Monica. Let's get the outline. Excuse me, I'm hoping it'll fit on there. I hope you're well there, Brenda. And did you receive the catalogue, Brenda? There we go. There we go. So there's our butterfly. Okay. And I'm just going to turn that over and push it down just to dry it off, make sure it's not too wet. There we go. And then as I say, you can use the blends pens. You can do them straight onto here as long as this ink is completely dry, but to avoid that you can just use the reverse. And oh good, I'm glad you did. So you can just colour in from the back, and then you get that really soft effect, and this will dry almost instantly. You can also use our Stampin' Up markers. So if you have some of those, Monica, then you can use those. They will work equally as well. Let me just show you. I've got one to hand. Whoops. I've got Seaside Spray here. So you can use that as well. Like so. But the secret is, if you can colour from the back, then you get a soft muted effect. Well, it will if you really, I mean, this is espresso, so you just need to let it dry. But if you're colouring from the back, then you're not contaminating that. So I would just heat set that. It will dry, or you could use Stays On. I don't particularly like Stays On because it's a very cloggy ink, in my opinion. So let it dry. Just dump, just turn it over and wipe it down like I did, and then just colour from the reverse, because then you're not affecting that ink. Now if you're using Stampin' Up markers, you wouldn't want to colour from the front anyway, because that could make the ink run, because they're both water based. But if you're using alcohol markers, you can colour from the front as well, but you just need to make sure that the ink is dry, or you're just going, between the ink. Does that make sense? Like so. So stamp as you would do, which is the front, okay, and then turn it over and colour from the back. If you do that anytime, you'll get a really nice effect. And what you can do is then use your Wink of Stella on the front, okay, but watch out for the ink, because obviously this is a non-porous surface, so the ink is just going to sit on there like so. But there you are, add some Wink of Stella to that. You won't really see that until it dries. So there you go. So I could add I could go mad and add that layer on top. So I think some vellum layers would look really nice, because obviously you get the opacity of the vellum rather than the solidity of the card. So yeah, some thoughts for you. And also, as I say, you could do a bit like some decoupage, so you could have this wing and this wing, for example, and then this wing cut out. So there we go. And when that's dry, I'm going to cut it out and possibly put it on the top. So there we are, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me today. So gone on a bit longer than normal, but hopefully those hints and tips have been helpful with the trimmer blades, cleaning the track out. That's something you might find useful, Brenda, for your trimmer. So have a look back. And that's it for today. So I'm back tomorrow 5 p.m. UK time and Friday. All that remains is for me to say thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it. Monica, I hope you're going to have a go with some vellums. If you do, then please pop some photos on Gemini Crafts. Show us how you've done. Would really like to see that. So thanks so much for joining me today. Take care and look after yourselves, look after your loved ones, and I hope to be crafting with you again soon. Thank you so much. Bye everybody.